This is a lesson on converting between the metric and imperial systems. You should have had some experience with both systems in your math career so far. So here's some length measurements in the imperial system. We have inches, feet, yards, and miles. In the metric system, we have millimeters, centimeters, meters, and kilometers. There are others, but those are the main ones we talk about. When we're talking about mass, the main measures in metric are grams and kilograms. In imperial, ounces and pounds. Here's just some pictures to show you approximately what an ounce, a tablespoon, a teaspoon, and a cup all look like if you're cooking or baking. Here's a pint, a quart, and a gallon, which are more imperial measures for volume. For metric, we talk about milliliters, and liters. So the main thing we're doing today is talking about converting from one system to the other, so from imperial to metric or from metric to imperial. So we'll just go over a few examples here. So you're going to need a scientific calculator, and you will also need your table that's called Converting Between Imperial and Metric Systems that has a bunch of conversion factors on it. So it has distance, volume, mass, and temperature, and it has a little bit for weights and measures on the back. Okay, so for example 1, it says 12 inches is how many centimeters? So if you look on your sheet, it tells you that 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. So the easiest way to solve something like this is to set it up as a proportion that you can solve by cross multiplying. So I'm going to write 12 inches. Sorry, the screen's a little cold this morning. 12 inches over, we're going to call this x, because we don't know what it is yet, x centimeters is equal to, and then up here we have 1 inch over 2.54 centimeters. Now you can have centimeters on the top and inches on the bottom as long as you do the same thing on both sides. So the important part is that inches is on the top on both sides or the bottom on both sides. And centimeters is also either both on the bottom or both on the top. Then to solve this, you cross multiply. So if you remember, that means you multiply the ones that are across from each other diagonally and divide by the other number. So you're going to multiply, to solve for x, you're going to multiply 12 times 2.54, and then you divide by the other one. So divided by 1, which I'm not going to write down because when you divide by 1, you end up with the same answer anyway. So if you put that in your calculator, you end up with 30.48 centimeters. Okay? So let's look at example number 2. 5.5 fluid ounces equals how many milliliters? So I'm going to put an X in here right away. If you look on your conversion sheet, there are fluid ounces, which is FLOZ, and there's also ounces. Fluid ounces are a measure of volume, so a liquid, and ounces are a measure of mass, so it's something that's solid. So we have 1 fluid ounce is equal to 30 milliliters. Okay, so we're going to go 5.5 fluid ounces over x milliliters. Make sure that fluid ounces is on the top on the other side and milliliters is on the bottom. Milliliters and fluid ounces. Okay, so that you're going to go 5.5 times 30 divided by 1, and you're going to end up with 165 milliliters. For the third example, we have kilograms and pounds. So if you look on your sheet, you find out that 1 pound, which is LB, that's the abbreviation for pound, is equal to 16 ounces or 0.45 kilograms. So we're going to say 2.5 kg is equal to how many pounds? Make sure kilograms is on the top, 0.45 kg over 1 pound. solve by cross multiplying. So 2.5 times 1 divided by 0.45. When you put that into your calculator, that you'll have that it is approximately equal to 5.6 pounds. For the last example, 2 liters equals how many cups? So again, we'll have an X here for now. Look on your sheet. Liters and cups are volume. So 1 cup is equal to 237 milliliters. Now you have to remember we're converting to liters, and this is given in milliliters. There are 1,000 milliliters in 1 liter. Okay, so when you convert it, you end up with 0.237 liters. So 2 liters over X cups equals 0.243 liters in 1 cup. Solve by cross multiplying, and you will get that 2 times 1 divided by 0.243, and you will end up with 2 liters equals 8.2 cups. Sorry, that's very squished in there right now. You could also set up 2 different steps where you're converting this to 237 milliliters into liters with this as well. So I'll just show you quickly. You would set up 2 liters X cups equals 1 cup 243 milliliters, and then you could cross multiply and have milliliters, 1,000 of those in 1 liter. Hopefully that's not too confusing. You can do it in 1 step or 2, whichever works for you. Okay. You can also convert square and cubic units. So a squared unit is something that literally makes a square. A cubic unit is to the power of 3, or something that makes a 3D shape. So squared units are 2-dimensional, cubed units are 3-dimensional. Okay? So the first example, 300 centimeters squared is equal to how many inches squared? So I'm going to start setting this up just like we've done before. X inches squared. Now if you look on your sheet, you'll find that 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. So you might be tempted to go 2.54 centimeters over 1 inch. Cross multiply and you think you're done. However, these units over here are 2-dimensional, as I mentioned. These are 1-dimensional. The way you account for that is by squaring everything. You square the units and you square the numbers. You don't touch the ones on this side of the equation that are already squared. You only square everything else, and that will account for the fact that it needs to be 2-dimensional, and the ratio will stay the same. Once you cross multiply this, you're going to have X is equal to 300 times 1 squared, which is just 1, divided by 2.54 squared. Make sure you square that number. So if you type it into your calculator, you'll be typing in 300 divided by 2.54 squared. Okay, and then once you do that, you will get an answer of 46.5 square inches. So 2. Okay? Same thing works for cubic units. Hold on. There we go. Same thing works for cubic units. So if we have a volume of a box that's 1 meter cubed, and we're looking for how many cubic feet, X feet cubed. Well, look on your sheet, you'll find that 1 foot is equal to 0.305 meters. So I'll say 1 foot down here on the bottom, 0.305 meters. These are 3-dimensional units, these are still 1-dimensional, so we have to cube everything. That makes our units the same, so we can cross multiply. So X is going to be equal to 1 times 1 cubed, which is still just 1, divided by 0.305 to the exponent 3. So make sure you type that in your calculator properly, and if you're not sure how, make sure you ask me how to do that. Once you do that, you get an answer of 35.25 feet cubed. And this is approximately. Okay, the last thing that we're going to talk about today is how to convert from Fahrenheit to Celsius. So these are going to be your important equations right here. They're on your sheet. They're written slightly differently. There's actually brackets around this and a multiplication sign right here. It's the same thing though, because it's right beside the degree Celsius is right beside the fraction, so you are multiplying. So here's a couple of examples. We're converting 150 degrees Fahrenheit to Celsius in the first example. So if we know our Fahrenheit, we're going to use this equation over here and solve for Celsius. So the first step that you would do is you write down your formula, and then you plug in your numbers as your second step. 5 over 9, then we have 150 minus 32. Remember your order of operations. 150 minus 32 is in brackets, so you do that first. So you have 5 over 9 times 118. Then you can multiply and divide either in 1 or 2 steps, whatever works for you, and you'll end up with an answer of approximately 65.6 degrees Celsius. Okay. Example number 2, converting Celsius to Fahrenheit. You're going to use this equation. Write down your equation. Step number 2, you would plug in your values. 9 over 5 times 17. Make sure when you plug in a number that you put it in brackets so you know you're multiplying by the numbers next to it. So first step here, multiply 17 times 9, then divide by 5, then add 32 at the end, and you'll end up with 62.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Now you can have negative numbers in this because we're talking about temperature. So temperature, anything that's a freezing temperature, will be below 0 Celsius or below 32 Fahrenheit. Example number 3, we're converting 5 degrees Fahrenheit to Celsius. Use this equation, plug in your numbers. 5 over 9, 5 minus 32. Once you do your first step, 5 minus 32, you'll get a negative number. There's negative 27 over here. Multiply that out. Negative 27 times 5 divided by 9, times 5 divided by 9. You'll end up with negative 15 degrees Fahrenheit. And for the last example, converting a negative 27 degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit. So start with this equation, write it down, start plugging in your numbers. 9 over 5, negative 27 in brackets, plus 32. Multiply that out, negative 27 times 9 divided by 5, then add 32 as your final step, and you'll get that it equals negative 16.6 degrees Fahrenheit.